That is, I think it's possibly an overused word, but that is a harrowing development in yesterday's terror attack. I'm going to read you the full statement from Chief Constable Sir Stephen Watson following yesterday's incident on Middleton Road in Crumpsall. That's the police's language, not mine. Following the terrorist incident yesterday, that's my language and the police's language. Let me start again. Following the terrorist incident yesterday at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation, Middleton Road, Crumpsall, further and urgent inquiries continue. Overnight, we have taken advice from the Home Office Pathologist ahead of full post-mortem examinations scheduled for later today. The Home Office Pathologist has advised that he has provisionally determined that one of the deceased victims would appear to have suffered a wound consistent with a gunshot injury. It is currently believed that the suspect, Jihad al Shamie, was not in possession of a firearm, and the only shots fired were from GMP's authorised firearms officers as they worked to prevent the offender from entering the synagogue and causing further harm to our Jewish community. It follows, therefore, that subject to further forensic examination, this injury may sadly have been sustained as a tragic and unforeseen consequence of the urgently required action taken by my officers to bring this vicious attack to an end. We have also been advised by medical professionals that one of the 3 victims currently receiving treatment in hospital has also suffered a gunshot wound, which is mercifully not life-threatening. It is believed that both victims were close together behind the synagogue door as worshippers acted bravely to prevent the attacker from gaining entry. Our thoughts and prayers remain with all of the families and the wider community impacted by this incident across Greater Manchester and beyond. Specialist officers are providing support and care for all of those directly affected, including our brave first responders. That is absolutely horrifying. And, it's my job, isn't it, to have views and sometimes to conjure up views on a sixpence. But I think I'm just going to sit with the sadness of that scenario for a moment and invite Andy Hughes, LBC's crime correspondent and, of course, host of the Crime Agents podcast, to join me live from Manchester. I don't remember anything like this happening before, Andy, but I possibly don't have the encyclopedic knowledge that I'd need in order to do so. But it just adds layer upon layer of heartbreak and horror to an already hideous situation.
That's right, James. This is as tragic as it gets. It's our job as journalists to remain emotionless while reporting the news, but when you hear stuff like this, it's difficult not to really feel it. I mean, this is just an utterly tragic incident. The 2 people who were trying to stop the terrorist getting in to commit more atrocities were the ones who eventually paid the price. One of the people inside the synagogue, they tragically died. The other was injured and is still in hospital now. But it's really hard to put into words how to get this story across, because
yes, I understand that. It must be a consideration for firearms officers, but it's not, I presume. It can't be, can it? Because you just have one job, and that is to take out the suspect in these kind of situations.
Well, that's it. These officers are trained to focus on the threat, and the threat was Jihad al Shamie. Yeah. And it was their job to, in their words, neutralise the threat. And that's what they were trying to do. This is just an absolute tragic consequence of what happened.
Indeed it is. We may talk to Andy a little more later as more details emerge, but at the moment this completely unexpected and I think close to unprecedented development. And if you've sort of seen any of the footage or read any of descriptions of how the drama, as just reading a newspaper headline calling it a drama, as how the terrorist incident unfolded, then you may understand, you will understand, I can understand how this could have happened. But my God, thoughts and prayers already with the families of everybody affected, either very directly or indirectly. And now you have to add police officers and possibly one police officer to the list of people who are now going to be dealing with extraordinary feelings.